So for today's video, I am continuing on that Phantom draft run that I started. We are currently 1-0, and we're going to jump into another game, see if this list can hold up, or if I'm going to start to regret cutting green. If you're not familiar, during the draft, I got offered some really good green cards, and then because of the hero choices that I was provided, I opted instead to not play green, so a bit of a risk. If you're curious about that and you didn't see the first video or have not seen the other videos in the series, I'm going to be putting up every game, win or lose, and the very first video in the series is the actual draft itself, so you can go check that out. And now, jumping into the game here, so I'm on a red and black list. 2 red heroes, 3 black heroes. My opponent is on a 3-color list with the Legion Commander Splash. Now, gonna have my choice on where to develop this Mercenary Exiles. I don't think that doing so here does much to help me out, so I think we're just gonna go ahead and pass. Technically this does survive and then trade with that melee creep over time, but that's typically not what you're looking to do. And though this telegraphs, we'll go ahead and put in assault ladders here, because with the exiles coming down, that should hopefully allow me to generate some additional value. Really pressure this early on. Have this drop down here.
We'll fight for you.
And just like that, we got 10 damage in on this first turn, and that's not even counting Sorla Khan over here, so overall pretty happy with that. Now, Sorla Khan is looking for help, right? So we could either go here and extra go kind of all in on this lane. We'd have a 50-50 of either ending up in front of Omni Knight or hitting the tower. We also have a 50-50 here, but if I end up in front of this creep, that's not the end of the world. So Sorla is going to go here, and I think Venomancer is probably going to go here as well, given that the 2 melee creeps are going to the mid. And that is the case. So instead, Sorla Khan finds the creep. I kind of would have preferred running into this Venomancer, if I'm being entirely honest.
Into this fertile soil, I'll start my garden.
Just because getting rid of this a bit sooner would have been nice. And now I have a decision to make, right? But I think taking the hipfire here and letting Sorla hit the tower makes the most sense, even though I don't want this Venomancer to survive for very long. I also want to protect my Sorla. And 12 damage on this tower after dealing 10 to the right feels pretty good. Bristleback also grows a bit. Now I could play this Ravenous Mass here, which would potentially save my Phantom Assassin, but there is an argument to be made about just letting my Phantom Assassin die. Truth be told. Probably going to develop the Rebel Instigator over here. This is actually not an easy decision to make. But I think we're going to go ahead and actually just let my Phantom Assassin die here. We want the redeploy. And here we're going to go ahead and
It's our time now.
take this. They take the wolf. We could if we wanted to buff this, but I think we'll just take the pass. Another 10 damage here is beneficial. I like picking up the cloak. Town Portal Scroll could be good, but right now we don't necessarily need it. Let's grab another cloak. And because I already have a red and a black there, I think Sniper goes over here. Zeus goes to the first lane, and that makes a lot of sense. That's usually where you want your blue heroes to be, specifically Zeus, because of the Thunder God's Wrath plays. Tyler Estate, pretty big pickup, and that is unfortunate for me. I did not get a chance to cloak my Bristleback, and that because that's piercing damage, it does come down. Tyler Estate locks out a lot of plays here, though. So that is tempting. I think that's what I want to do. Let's go with that first. There is a risk, right? If they had something that dealt 3 damage, and then with the Zeus passive here, that would be a problem.
Just what I needed. Exquisite.
Zeus may blink out, but then that allows me to hit the tower. And, okay. Strafing run comes in. Our opponent has an awful lot to work with here, in terms of cards available. We're kind of just hoping that things are cluttered. Now, when this Lycan comes back the next round, that also has a potential to be a problem. We do have Coup becoming available for us this next round, which is a bit of a risk. We don't want to lose our Assassinate. Oh, and the Zeus just takes the damage there. That's actually really good for my opponent. Venomancer is going to spawn another, Venom creep there. We'll go ahead and play the cloak.
I shall not falter.
And I think we're going to go ahead and develop this Disciple. It's just a question of where. I feel like maybe catching an arrow here is good.
See how your army grows strong.
And we do.
Enjoy your last moments.
So unless they have like a Vul, a Martyr, or something, this should clear this up. Get this low enough that Headshot can take it out the following round, as long as I have initiative going into that lane. Broadsword's tempting, but I think I just want some more health. So, Phantom coming over here is a pretty clear play, I think. And they send the Lycan mid. That's an interesting choice. So yeah, unfortunately, my Sorlakan is also going to die here, and that's why Phantom had to come. And the reason Sorla will die is, again, the upkeep kill of the Plague Wards here.
To die in my garden is an honor.
Now, again, I really don't want to lose this Coup, but getting rid of this and also potentially protecting this feels important.
You won't feel a thing.
And unfortunately, I do lose the Assassinate. In all honesty, I would have been fine with losing just about anything else. A Cloak is fine, Pick a Fight's fine, Mass is fine. Hipfire is a bummer, but that was the worst possible discard for me. Now, our opponent is trying to keep initiative here, because they do have this item, and it's going to be to keep the Somni Knight alive, if I had to guess.
I feel renewed.
Which, if I'm being honest, is entirely fine. Now, I could kill this if I really wanted to, because I could hipfire it, I could headshot it, and then hipfire it to keep initiative going into the next round. But in all honesty, we're going to take this right now anyway, unless they play something, so I'd rather be responsive, I think, and I think I'm going to pass. Being able to redeploy this is helpful. Again, I'm not really upset at this. So far, I'm still threatening to take this tower, and I'm trying to transition to pressuring the first. So I think this is fine. It's actually okay to let your heroes die sometimes. And, oh, that is a tough call. I really like Hourglass, but they already have a lot of cards in hand. They're going to draw 2 more. So let's go ahead and just grab some additional defensive items. And Bristle's very clearly coming over here. And Zeus should be as well. No shock. Now, Thunder God's Wrath is online next turn, not online this turn because of the Tyler estate. So we do have that working in our favor at the moment. And a couple of different options here. Clear the deck would be kind of nice, just because we would clear up a bunch of these. I also have the Hellbear Crippler that I could develop. And then that still leaves me with mana left over for something like Hipfire. We're gonna, I think, just take an item delay. Let's go ahead and play the Cloak.
I'll make good use of this.
And be responsive. I have a feeling my opponent's gonna try to clear this out by playing some blue spell. And I don't have a good way to stop that. Let's go ahead and play a Cloak here as well.
Rather like this.
Again, just kind of taking some item delays. I'd like to try to save this Hipfire to clear whatever's in front of my Phantom Assassin, because when Broadsword comes down, again, that'll let me push some damage. However, that is not something that I can just use Hipfire on.
Just what I needed.
Now, Broadsword will let me clear that out.
You've been chosen. Don't
So I'm
fight
fine with
it.
this. Crippler will allow me to deal with this. And then it just becomes, do I want initiative here going forward? Or do I want to save the Hipfire? And I feel like I want to save the Hipfire here. Could also develop Ravenous Mass if I really wanted to. But I think we're going to go ahead and just let this resolve. This would get me 4 more damage here. But no, we're going to let this go. So again, nice and defensive here. We're protected pretty well against Thunder God's Wrath in that regard. We are, because of the transitioning here, likely going to lose this tower. And 2 items here. There's a good chance that these heroes might get town portaled out after the fact, or maybe even now, but all right. And the good news is I have initiative. So right now what I'm looking to draw is hopefully another coup or another assassinate. We'll go ahead and take our Blade of the Vigil. Might do some work on Bristlebot. Getting these 2 creeps here, very nice. We do also have Sniper coming in with Headshot, potentially relevant, but both of us are going to be going all in, kind of all hands on deck here. So I do have the option to take out either Zeus or the Venomancer before my opponent can respond with a combination of Hipfire and Pickoff. Now, because Zeus is already being targeted by a number of things, I think taking out the Venomancer actually makes the most sense. So we're going to go ahead and do not that, actually. Excuse me, I am bad at math. I was thinking Hipfire and Headshot, but I cannot. That's at 10. So it actually does have to be the Zeus.
I always strike first. Enjoy your last moment.
So we'll go ahead and do that. We don't lock him out of blue, but we also clear a path and threaten lethal, which is also important in its own right. We still have some additional damage bonuses or buffs as well at our disposal. We have Blade of the Vigil.
We will protect the weak.
Interesting that they decided to put this here, just because this is actually threatening less damage than my Sorlakan is. It's a rather interesting play. Now, it does heal the tower, and that's very important. I think we're going to go ahead and do this just to push some more tower damage. And now the question becomes, what else do we want to do, if anything, with our 4 mana? We have the Viscous Nasal Goo that we could develop. We have the Pickoff that's not doing us any good at the moment. I think saving clear the deck is probably a good thing as well. And so I think we are just going to go ahead and develop the Goo. We'll do that here. Get this dangerously low. Now at 8, If our opponent has something silly like an emissary, this could potentially be dangerous. But I think we get at least one more turn before we're worried about the ancient here. And this is just a dead lane where unfortunately Timbersaw is stranded. So Phase Boots is a fantastic pickup. We'll absolutely take that. Short Sword can also potentially offer more damage if placed on the sniper. We catch a break with no melee creeps coming to this first lane, so we have a lot of pressure. And a lot of ways that we can shuffle damage around, so... the coup is also very, very beneficial. But we do not have initiative, so... kind of at the mercy here. And they go with a Thunder God's Wrath. Takes them down to 2. And what would we be worried about with 2? What would be Vool Martyr maybe? I think we just go ahead and we take this coup because that frees up 8 more damage to the tower, locks them out of green.
Face it, mate, you're outmatched.
And that should be it. We are still threatening lethal, so we don't have to invest any of these yet. We can just go ahead and pass. And that's it. So we take our second game. I like the way it's performing so far. I felt like we were off to a fast start that time around because of the assault ladders allowing us to pressure the third lane very heavily. Then we could kind of over-invest into the first. There was some risk involved, but it worked out. So, hey, 2-0, and that's it for today's video. Thanks for watching, and I hope to catch you in the next one.